What made you lose respect for someone? To put it simply, she ghosted me for 5 months, said she missed me and loved me etc. Ghosted me again for like a week every so often, then ghosted my one more time only for her fiancé to message me back off and shite. Meanwhile she didn't have the courage to inform me of it all. Yes, this is a very specific person. I'll never heal or forgive her anymore. If you're reading this, fuck you, sunflower. The way my friend's mom treated my friend. Worked for a dude. Well, he said it was with me, as in as equals, as the sole artist for an indie game. I worked 30 to 40 hours a week on that game on top of my part-time job and my freelance work. Made one color conversion mistake once, fixable in like 5 minutes, and he went through the roof and called me a lazy bum. There was a lot of different things wrong with that guy and that project, but that was the start of it and what made me lose respect for the guy. Still pulled through for almost a year after that, thinking it'd be my ticket into the indie sphere. My childhood kinda sucked, lived with my mother who had 6 kids and hardly took care of any of them. In middle school I basically had to go over to friends' houses to get actual meals. I ended up becoming good friends with someone I went to school with and his dad kinda took me in. I was over at their house 5+ times a week, every week for years. His dad seemed like a cool dude, never complained about me being over, offered me food, went on vacations and the like with them. After knowing them for a while it started coming out that the father was a blatant racist. Like, recruiting people to the clan kind of racist. I'm still thankful for everything he did for me as a kid because honestly, things probably wouldn't have turned out well for me if it weren't for him, but I couldn't ever look at him the same after finding out. Had a DJ friend who had lots of experience playing in little clubs. Would always praise himself on being good at FL Studio and mixing and how it is hard work that differentiates him from other DJs. Came to find out he steals ideas from friends. His dad bought him all his equipment when he was 14 and the club owners are his dad's friends. A boyfriend of mine and I had been dating over a year and he had been with me through my cancer diagnosis and treatment. His apartment lease was ending soon and I suggested he move in with me in my 2-bedroom house. Not only did he seem to scoff at the idea like it was a dump or something along those lines, but he proceeded to tell me he only thought we were together because I had cancer. I broke up with him shortly after. When a girl sent me an accident nude. My uncle had kidney issues for most of his adult life, and also had a very unhappy marriage. He wound up on dialysis for years and years, but then eventually lucked out and got a donor kidney transplant. He was still on immune suppressants though. He decided to go back to our home country and start the divorce process with his wife. They'd separated already, and even though this was going to cause some family strife, he felt it was worth it. He parked his car in my parents' driveway and spent a few days with them before flying out. A few days after landing, he started losing feeling in his extremities, then wound up unable to move, then our cousins rushed him to the ER. He was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. While he was recovering in the hospital, he developed pneumonia and died. Total time elapsed here was something like 4 days, so really sudden. My family was shocked. Except my cousin, my uncle's son, that is. He called my parents from his school, and rather than discuss anything about his own father's death, he immediately started demanding the keys to his father's car that was parked in our driveway. My mother was horrified. She hung up on the crazy kid, and I don't think their relationship ever recovered. My sister and I always knew he was a sociopath, though. He was extremely charming around adults and horrifically abusive when no one else was around. So not like I had any respect for him to begin with, but even so, not giving a fuck about your own father's death was a new one to me. She brought her 2 years old to the beach bars while we day drank with friends. Learning that I'm their friend but they're not my friend. Sucks to donate so much time and energy just to be ignored when you need them. My friend who I looked up to quite a bit, came to one day because another friend had a crush. He starts describing all the negative aspects of said crush and why we should ensure friend never dates her. He described me. He knew too. This girl and I have a lot in common. I could never look at him the same again. Your community makes everything about them, referring to the LGBTQ+ community. They were saying this because they know I'm bi. They're my ex for this reason, among others. He and his family moved to California. He was always a very religious, very Christian guy, but in the good, walks the walk kind of way. But also managed to have a fun, magnet personality. Was just an all-around good person in my eyes. And I enjoyed both the work relationship and a friendship with him. Now he's wrapped up in some crazy black Israelite type cult. I'd exactly what? Changed his name to something Hebrew. I had to unfollow him because it was just day after day of craziness. Now also a flat earther. It makes me sad. He's a different person. He used to be so fun and fun-loving. The way they treat others. I set clear boundaries. They walked all over them. Simple as that. Bye. I saw one of my old friends after like a year on a festival, and the first thing he started to do was blaming the bad housing market on foreigners and refugees. That was the last time I spoke to that guy. I had already lost a lot of respect for my cousin for being a piece of shit, but I lost all of it the day we picked up his friend and he told us that my cousin and his wife told him that they would tie up the girl living with them and let him do whatever they wanted to her cause they didn't want her living there anymore. He took her in when she had nowhere else to go after facing horrific abuse that none of us knew about for years, and he said that he and his wife ended up just throwing her back to her parents and told them, "Yay, we see why you don't want her. She's a piece of shit," and left. To this day, I think he made a pass at her and she turned him down, and that's why he did that. I hate him so much. My friend didn't deserve that at all. And fuck her parents too.